Happy Easter, everybody. I'm doing this video for my son Hunter. He asked me to do a video about our family recipe that's been in our family for almost 200 years. It comes from France. My mother is from Tours, France in the Loire Valley, and it's been handed down throughout the generations now to me, and I'm sharing it with you. So what it is, it's a lamb recipe because a lot of people are scared to cook lamb, so they avoid making it. Anyways, this recipe consists of 4 basic ingredients: garlic, rosemary, thyme, butter, and of course lamb. So I'll show you the lamb. This is a leg of lamb, 2 legs of lamb. It's been deboned. As you can see, there is a meat net on it because after you debone the meat, it loses its form. So in order to cook the meat so it cooks evenly, you want to put meat netting on it and reform it so that way it's all the same thickness, not one side this thick and the other side this thick. Otherwise it cooks unevenly. Now, what I do is I take the rosemary and thyme, fresh, you can get it from your garden, and garlic as well, if you grow it, and I pull all the leaves off. I rip it up with my hands, and I make a nice big pile of it. And I take the garlic, I'll peel the garlic, I turn it on its side along with the knife blade. I turn the knife blade flat, and I press the garlic. So I crush the garlic, which releases the juices from the garlic. Then what I do is I'll chop it up. Not too fine, just long strips, thin strips. And what I do is I'll take a thin knife and I cut holes into the meat. As you can see, there's actual holes here. I can stick my finger in. And what I do is I take the garlic that I cut up and I put it in the hole along with a pinch of rosemary and a pinch of the thyme leaves. And I stuff them in the hole. And I do that throughout the entire lamb, both sides. But let me back up. I do that before I put the meat netting on. So don't do that when the meat netting is on, or otherwise you're going to cut the netting and it's going to lose its form. Just an FYI. Then what I do is I take the leftover leaves of thyme and rosemary and I'll put them in a bowl along with the garlic, the leftover garlic. I add butter and I'll microwave it. You can heat it on the stove and melt it, and it infuses the flavors together. And what I do is I mix it up. I'll mix it up every few minutes. And what I want it to do is congeal. You can see it's starting to congeal a little bit. To speed it up, you can throw it in the refrigerator for a little while and then pull it out. And what I do is I slather it on the lamb after the lamb has been stuffed with the garlic, thyme, and rosemary. And I'll pour it over it. And then what I'll do is I'll take the leftover sprigs of rosemary and thyme, put it on top of the lamb, cover it. I'll let it sit for an hour or two so it gets down to room temperature because I don't like cooking meat ice cold out of the refrigerator. For whatever reason, it just doesn't come out right. So I'll let it sit for an hour or two, and then I'll throw it in the oven at about 450 to 475 to braise it with the lid off. I braise it for about 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, depending on how quickly it browns. And then I turn the temperature down to 350. Now here's the secret to cooking lamb. Don't cook it well done. That's the secret. Medium is fine. Medium rare is fine. Rare is fine too, not too bloody. But once you go well done, I find that it changes the flavor and makes the lamb gamey. That's my opinion. And I was always taught you don't cook lamb well done, ever. That's a no-no. So, real simple. Rosemary, thyme, garlic, butter, lamb. And the other secret is that the butter, once it melts, okay, it's keeping it moist in there. There's some moisture in there so it doesn't dry out. Is the juices from the lamb, I cook it with the fat side up. So the meaty side is down. And the fat side will cook off, and it keeps it hydrated, I guess, the meat hydrated. And the juices, the au jus, makes a great gravy because of the butter and the infusion of all the flavors. And I make a gravy with it. When I do my mashed potatoes, I take the juices from that, and that's what I make my gravy with. And what I do is I take the juices, I'll dump it into a pan, and then I take cold water. I'll mix up cornstarch with it, mix it up with cold water, otherwise it becomes like cement. Mix that up in a separate bowl, and I heat up the juices, and then I add that water in with extra water, and it thickens. And you can add salt if you like, salt the flavor, and that's it, salt the taste. And then pour it over your gravy and your lamb. I'm also making asparagus with our dinner of mashed potatoes, gravy, and lamb. And I'm making a homemade hollandaise sauce. And then for dessert, I am making homemade apple crisp, which I peeled and chopped up the apples over there to my right. So that's the recipe. Real simple. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And happy Easter and have a great day.